My name is Patty Lake Torbert, and I am the Senior Coordinator for the Office of Student Support Services. Today we're going to take a little bit of a step out of the normal family forum that we do, and we are going to be talking something that's a little bit more specific to school, and that is career development and registration process in the Sioux Falls School District. I have 3 counselors from the school district with me today, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Renee Oines. I'm the K-12 career counselor, but I'm a school counselor by trade, and really my focus is on supporting our counseling team and teaching staff on all things career development in our district.
Hi, my name is Carrie Andella, and I am one of the 3 counselors at Memorial Middle School. I've been there for 11 years. At our school, we get the luxury of following our students, so I get to follow them all 3 years, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, throughout the transition, and so we get to know our families pretty well throughout those 3 years.
And I'm Todd Alberti. I'm a school counselor at Roosevelt High School. I've been there for 8 years, and we at the high school we get the privilege of working with 9th through 12th graders, and we stay with that kind of last name alphabet throughout that time.
As counselors in the Sioux Falls School District, we work in 3 domains. We work in the academic, the social emotional learning, and also in the career development. All 3 obviously are very important to us, but again today we're talking about career development and registration. So Renee, we're going to start first with you talking about career development.
Yeah, really I just want to give an overview of what we're focusing on in career development all throughout the different grade levels, K through 12. So in elementary school, we're focusing on awareness. We're just helping students learn about all the different types of careers that are out there. We're not really getting into the nitty-gritty of having students make decisions about their interests at that point. We're just trying to help them understand the variety that's out there and exposing them to that. It's in middle school where students really get a little more exploration, and I know Carrie will talk about that. And students are really starting to formulate their opinions, their likes and dislikes, and we're asking them to really apply that to career fields and begin to narrow down or kind of figure out or establish directions that they should be aiming their curiosities, because we know it's such a wide array of careers that are out there. Then in high school, they should be really focusing in on maybe 1 or 2 career fields that they want to really explore and possibly prepare for. So we have coursework that backs up that preparation that students should take advantage of, but we also want them making decisions about that next step after high school that we know is going to bring them another step forward in their career plan. So that's the broad scope, and a big piece of that career development is helping students understand how to take advantage of all of the different course offerings that we have for students. And so Carrie and Todd here are going to tell us more about that piece of things.
So before we get to into the middle school piece of things, I want everybody to take a breath, calm down, because the transition to middle school, and honestly the transition out of middle school into high school, can be very stressful for families but also for our students. And so we want you to know that we are here for you through this transition. We've all lived it multiple times, and it does become even stressful for us at times too, but there's a lot of people involved that will help guide you through the transition of middle school and or into high school. And so for that first transition into middle school, we have a summer program that we at Memorial specifically call Running Start. All the middle schools in Sioux Falls have this program. They just might call it something a little bit different, like Jump Start, and some of the other schools have different names for it. But really this first program where students can get their first time into middle school focuses on the students getting kind of the middle school lingo. So we talk about what a team area might look like or what a team area is. We also talk about Encore and Core Classes, which might be a new terminology for the students. And then they get to tour the building, they get to learn our cafeteria procedures, different team building activities, and really most importantly, they get to meet new students that are coming from those feeder elementary schools that they haven't got to meet yet, and kind of get get to meet some new friends, and then our staff members. So this is the first time that our students can really get into the program, and every middle school has various sessions. So we have morning, afternoon sessions and different dates throughout the summer. So I encourage any family, especially if you're new coming into middle school, this is your first child, to really take this opportunity and get your child enrolled into this program. And that information will come out in the spring when you start getting your school's newsletter. So if you're feeding into Memorial Middle School, you will start getting that newsletter in April, and you can sign up at that specific middle school. So I want to shift gears a little bit into what is an Encore class in middle school, because we talk to our students about what these are when we come into our elementary schools and talk to those fifth graders, but parents might not know what an Encore class is, and if students aren't in our school yet, they are unaware what that means. And it's really these classes that are more exploratory, and they change throughout the student's school year. So pretty much 6th and 7th grade year, the majority of students will experience all of these classes in one way or another, which include CTE, or Career and Technical Education, computer technology classes, our FACS classes, so Family and Consumer Science, which deals with one aspect of the hands-on cooking side of thing, and then the other side would be more, we call it our module work, so they get different ideas on how to kind of live throughout their life within a set budget. And then our arts, our musics, and our language. So like I said, in 6th and 7th grade, they will experience most of these classes. So then when they become 8th graders, they kind of have a choice, or they get to choose a little bit of which of those areas did they enjoy maybe more, and then they get to have that class throughout their 8th grade year. So then leading kind of up into high school, that they can maybe choose more of those classes when that registration time comes. And then when we look at that career piece of things in middle school, the counselors throughout the 6 years the students are there, so 6th, 7th, and 8th, they will go into the classroom and work with a program that we call, it's called Zell, and it's really a student-driven program that helps middle school and high school students of all backgrounds, abilities, and aspirations become future ready. So it really focuses on that career piece of things. In 6th grade, when we go in for our lessons, we really dive into the 16 career clusters for our students, which is just where they can focus on a group of occupations with similar features. And then we really want them to get familiar with various study skills through their learning styles that fit their specific needs. And so in 7th grade, looking at those learning styles, we take an inventory for students, and they, based on their results, will find out if they're a visual learner, an auditory learner, or a tactile or kinesthetic learner. And so this will help them determine, if they're studying for a test, do they need note cards, or do they need somebody to read it to them? Do they need to read through their notes that they took? So this can help them throughout, their future, whether it's in high school, throughout middle school, or even into college, kind of what they have determined to be their learning style. And then in 8th grade, we look at the career matchmaker. And so this is where students take an inventory assessment, so to speak, and it asks questions of their likes and their dislikes, and then they will mark 3 careers based on their results that they found interesting, and so, or they found of their interest, and then they use those 3 careers when we go in the fall to the JA Inspire event at the Convention Center. And this is where a bunch of our community partners come and set up almost like a career fair for our students, and then they get to do very hands-on and talk to these professionals to see kind of more about each career. And so our students really gain a lot from this. They've now worked with Zell for all 3 years and kind of finally seeing it in action and hands-on in the JA experience. And then Then we start right after JA, which is, we actually just had this within our district, and now we are diving headfirst into 8th to 9th grade registration. And so this process really almost starts now or right around Christmas time, or right when we get back. So then when we come back from Christmas break in January, our pro-time teachers will start going through the high school course booklet and the Welcome to High School packets with our students. So then when our high school counselors come in, our students have heard some of the terminology, and they're hearing it for a second time from the professionals, from the high school counselors, but our teachers have done a good job going through kind of the course offerings, some of the schedule, which looks a little bit different than middle school, the graduation requirements, and then again, really focusing on those study habits for our students. And then in February, our high school counselors come into our middle schools and register our students. So they come in 1 week and talk about all the things that they need to know for high school, go over the classes, go over their 9th grade plan, and then they come back a week or two later and really get the kids registered on Infinite Campus. And so from January to February, these kids are only really hearing about high school registration and kind of what path they might want to take. And then in the spring, all the 8th graders will go to their home attendance high school and visit and really learn about all the different activities and ways to get involved within their high school, which we know if students can find something that they find interesting outside of their school coursework, that can really be kind of a pathway to their success as well. So this is exciting stuff for our 8th graders. It's crazy that we do the transition in and then we do the big transition out too. And just like in middle school, them coming in, going into high school, we have a program within our district, and all the high schools call it Connections. And this families can get registered for this through the school district website, through community education. And our high school counselors, when they come in and talk to our students, they will talk to them about this program. But just for parents and guardians to know, it's really, again, focusing on those study skills and then helping students really feel confident within their high school. So it's always scary when you transition from one building to the next. And this, just like the middle school Running Start program, can get those kids a little bit more confidence before that first day of school. And then they get to meet new people, new friends, new staff, and just get familiar with the building.
All right, Ms. Andela, thank you for that. Mr. Alberti, now we need to hear about the transition, like we have been talking about, into 9th grade, because again, everything about careers is important leading up to this, but we know that making wise choices for registration is really important. So can you take us through that?
Yep, and so I want to kind of zero in on how the registration process, which is really important in the high school because it helps us determine what classes to offer and all kinds of different things like that, and how that relates to students' career aspirations. So not only are we trying to get students the classes that they need to graduate, but we're trying to tailor fit some of those courses to help them prepare for the next stage. So for some students that might be, they're saying I'm going to be going on to post-secondary education. For other students that might be a military, and for other students that might be entering the workforce right away. And so we try to help them identify coursework that is going to benefit them and give them kind of a platform to jump off into that next area. Just like Mrs. Andela said, we have some terms in the high school that are very important to understand as we go through this, and we talked about it with you mentioned this, that we come down and we talk with the 8th grade students about these terms and helping them understand, but I think it's important for families to know as well. In the high school, oftentimes we'll talk about credit. So credit's that value that's given to a course. Students need to accumulate a certain number of credits in order to advance in grades and graduate. Another important term that we look at is required courses. So the state of South Dakota says there are a certain number of courses in each area that you must take in order to graduate, and so we help students get those courses into their schedule. But along with that, we try to then again tailor those because there's a little bit of flexibility within each area. For example, a student needs 3 credits worth of science. So we might help them identify which science classes make the most sense for those required courses. So picking those electives can be a really fun process. So we might talk with a senior who's interested in the medical field, and we may be saying, hey, let's get you out to the CTE Academy so you can be looking at biomed classes, or you might be looking at the health careers options. We have students who are interested in business. We might be saying, we should be getting you out there and checking out accounting or financial classes. Prerequisites are another thing that it's important to know, and it's really just helping students at that point understand that a lot of times classes exist in a progression. So I have to take drawing 1 before I can take drawing 2, or Spanish 1 before I take Spanish 2, algebra before geometry. GPA is something that comes into play when students start taking their courses that are worth credit. So the GPA is important. It's on a 4-point scale within the Sioux Falls School District, with students being able to get some bonus for taking things like AP courses. But that AP or that GPA is important because a lot of times when we're looking at applying for scholarships or colleges their senior year, that's something that we're communicating with those people. CTE is always a fun thing to talk about, I think, with the 8th graders, because I think there's always a little bit of confusion about CTE. We have CTE, or career technical education, courses within our high school. So that could be, I'm going to check out welding, or I'm going to check out wood tech or fax classes or things like that. But we're also super fortunate to have the CTE Academy, where students can, I always say, let's dip your toe in the water at Roosevelt or Lincoln or Washington, and then let's see if you really like that, and let's get you out to the CTE Academy where you can continue taking courses in those areas. So it's wonderful opportunity for our students who are interested. I can think of welding for one. I had a student who she took welding her freshman year at Roosevelt, and then she progressed through welding 2 and advanced fabrication at the CTE Academy, and at the end she had an internship and ended up with her welding certificate in a basically a career opportunity right after that. Transcript, this is the official report for high school students, so we're going to get a list of all their courses and all their grades and everything that goes along with this. Again, this is important because we're going to be sending this out to post-secondary schools as we go along. The next thing that we'll look at is kind of the course selection. So all of we get into, within the Sioux Falls School District, the counselors or teachers are getting in and talking to students at each level about what courses they should be looking at for requirements, and then things that they should be considering for electives that next year. So I have here a slide that looks at the core freshman courses. So this is when we go in and we're talking with those 8th grade students about what classes they should be signing up for their freshman year. Now the reason this is important, or we bring up the freshman one, is because all of these classes exist in a progression, and helping students identify, after biology, what is it that I'm interested in? Am I a student who's going on into the medical field? We might steer them towards a chemistry class or an AP chemistry class or anatomy, hopefully being able to get them out to the CTE Academy and look at health careers or biomed again. So those are just a few of the options. But knowing, and I look at math, a student who might be interested in engineering, we may want to see them, help them use their math progression, get up toward the calculus classes and things like that are going to have them best prepared for that next stage. So just like in middle school where they have their Encore classes, we have a lot of other course options that are available to students, from PE to computer, fine arts, speech and debate, and then languages. So we have languages as well. So students can choose between German, French, languages of the Oceti Shakowin. I believe Lincoln has Latin, as well as Spanish. But then again, you can kind of come down here and see that there's those career technical education courses that are available, and we're always trying to help students get into those, because one of the things we want to do is, while in high school and we're preparing for that next step, we want to give them an opportunity to really test drive that car. So you get into that course and see, do I like wood? Do I like carpentry? So we're going to get them in a class, have them work with the machinery, learn the basics of that course, and so that they can affirm the thing that they're interested in, or just as valuable, refute that belief so that they can start looking in a different direction. Another option during registration as it relates to career preparation is the opportunity for students to take AP or dual credit courses. There's a lot of conversation out there about, which one should I be taking. I like to tell families that it's a little bit of both, and you have conversations with your school counselor about which one takes you in the direction that makes the most sense. But AP, in a nutshell, they're available to 9th through 12th graders. Students will take this course taught by high school staff, and at the end of the year, they'll take an exam. And if they score a certain score on that exam, then they could be eligible for college credit. So dual credit is another option that's available to qualifying 11th and 12th grade students. We will actually have them be dual enrolled, so they'll actually be taking the course through the college from the college professor. Students earn a grade for that college course, and it will be transcribed and used as their high school grade for that course, as well as their college grade in that coursework. Dual credit can be done several different ways your junior and senior year. We have options for students to take this coursework within the building taught by our own staff. So that could be a class like college algebra or speech or government or anatomy or physiology. But then we also have options where they can work online through with the college and take their coursework online. And some students will even go to, for example, the USD Sioux Falls campus and take classes there. And then the last slide that I want to touch on here is the South Dakota graduation requirements. These are covered multiple times a year with students in the district with the goal of knowing not just what they need to do to graduate, but how to tailor their education toward that next step. So I might look at this, for example, and I look at the economics or personal finance requirement. This is usually done a student's junior or senior year. If a student talks to me and they say, I'm interested in being a business major, I might say, well, hey, we want to make sure that we get you in an economics class, because that's a course that you're going to see at that post-secondary level, so that way you have some exposure to that. Now, personal finance might be another course that we say we still want to take because it gives that foundation for understanding how to manage your own money, which I think all of our high school students could use. But yeah, that might be a place where we say this might be a good way to tailor this course toward what you need and what will help you in that next stage.
Thank you for all the information that you have given to us so far, but I am going to ask one last question to round this out. Because again, we're talking to parents, and I know that most parents are saying, but what can I do to help out my child? So starting with you, Ms. Oines, can you tell us and give us some advice of what you would tell a parent?
Sure, yeah, I think from my seat at least, I would really tell students and parents and guardians that academics are important, and they're certainly related to that career outcome, and so it's good to have that focus and be doing well in your courses, but also taking the opportunities that are there to really explore how that applies to that student's next step after their K-12 education and what that might be. So take those opportunities to explore and make decisions and prepare for that certain career, and don't be afraid to make a decision about something and go forward with that. Students have the opportunity in our school system to try those things, and what a great platform that is to do that.
And Mrs. Andela?
Yeah, I would just say just be involved in your child's decisions as far as their schedule. I know, especially when it comes to middle school, 6th and 7th grade year, there's not a lot of decisions, but knowing what classes your kids are taking, then when it does come time to them being able to make those decisions, those conversations have already been had. Like, what were some of your favorite classes in 6th and 7th grade that maybe in 8th grade you want to dive a little bit deeper into? And then if those conversations haven't happened yet, especially when they are 8th graders making those high school choices and selections for their future, is so vital. So I guess my advice would just be staying involved in your child's scheduling, knowing what they're taking. I know sometimes our lives get busy and kids kind of give you the I got it, but we really want parents involved, and especially if you have any questions, reach out to your school. There are so many resources within our district, and us counselors love to answer those questions, and we want to be a part of those decisions if you want us to be. So really just staying involved.
And Mr. Alberti, the same question.
Yeah, so I think at the high school level, one of the things that I would really encourage families to talk with their students about is that part-time job. I think that that can be such a valuable place to gain career capital from just understanding what is it in the world of work that I like to do. Do I like to work with people? Do I like to work by myself? You know, all these different things that you can start to say, well, I got to find ways to do more of what I like and a little bit less of what I don't like. And I think you can also tailor that to be very specific. I can think of an example where I had a student come in and he says, you know, I'm interested in possibly like athletic training. And I said, maybe you could look at getting a part-time job at one of the local fitness centers. Then you're working within that environment. You're working with the people who have this as a career, and you can say, hey, what is it that you like about what you do from day to day, and what is it that you don't like? And hopefully that can be a platform to bring them to that next stage.
All right, excellent advice. Thank you for that. And thank you for joining us today. We are going to be getting back on track in January, working with the Avera Family Forum, where we will learn more about healthy minds and healthy bodies. But again, today was just for parents and guardians to take a look at if you're trying to help out your son or daughter going through the choices that need to be made as they grow older and what their career might be past high school. Thanks for joining us.